Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We have lots of breaking news to go over. There, for whatever reason, was a lot of speeches today from Trump and many other officials on trade, the economy, on this tax bill, and much more. We also have a lot of Tesla stock news. Elon Musk had a speech this morning at 9 o'clock in the morning where he dropped some pretty critical information about Tesla and about demand for Teslas. I will share all of this with you throughout this video. First and foremost, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, and let's get started. Let's start with what Elon Musk said here. Elon on Tesla stock says, quote, "Our stock wouldn't be trading near all-time highs if things weren't in good shape." He says, "Don't worry about it. Things are fine." Also in the news today, Tesla's full self-driving is set to launch in Australia soon with no regulatory barriers. Elon Musk says that Europe is currently Tesla's weakest market, but that the company is doing well everywhere else. Quote, "Our sales are doing well at this point. We don't anticipate any sales shortfalls. The stock market recognizes that since we are over a $1 trillion market cap. It's already turned around. We've lost some sales on the left, but we've gained some on the right. The sales numbers at this point are strong. We see no problem with demand." And again, that is something that has still been lurking in the background, believe it or not. People being concerned about Tesla's demand, even though we've gotten, Elon now saying this, like things seem to be doing okay besides in Europe. It's still something that has been weighing on a lot of Wall Street investors, right? A lot of hedge funds and institutions. In all reality, it's not something to worry about. People are missing the bigger picture of robotaxis, of Optimus, of AI progress. They're missing the boat in real time because they're focused on these demand issues in Europe. Who gives a crap about Europe demand? I don't. That has zero part of the long-term thesis for me in Tesla stock. And just Elon Musk's comments today are boosting Tesla stock almost 2%, even though the market's S&P's down close to 0.5%. Imagine if the markets were actually doing good today. Tesla would probably be up 5, 6, 7% on these comments from Elon. Musk said today that he is committed to being Tesla's CEO for at least the next 5 years. Now, this is what Elon said today about his Tesla pay package and the violence against Tesla. Take a listen.
I think the value of that pay package stands at about $100 billion. Are you saying you are relaxed about the value of your future pay package? Your decision to be committed to Tesla for the next 5 years, as long as you are still with us on this planet, is completely independent of pay?
No.
It's not independent. So pay is a relevant factor then to your commitment to Tesla?
A sufficient voting control such that I cannot be ousted by activist investors is what matters to me. And I've said this publicly many times. But let's not have this whole thing be a discussion of my alleged pay. It's not a money thing. It's a reasonable control thing over the future of the company, especially if we're building millions, potentially billions of humanoid robots. I can't be sitting there and one day get tossed out by, for political reasons, by activists. That would be unacceptable. That's all that matters. Now let's move on.
Okay. Well, just one question.
Now let's move on.
Well, one question before we move on to other companies, which is that I wonder if some of what has happened to Tesla in the last few months, did you take it personally?
Yes.
And did it make you regret or think twice about your political endeavors? Because I
did what needed to be done. The violent antibody reaction, and I'm not someone who's ever committed violence, and yet massive violence was committed against my companies. Massive violence was threatened against me. Who are these people? Why would they do that? How wrong can they be? They're on the wrong side of history, and that's an evil thing to do. To go and damage some poor innocent person's car, to threaten to kill me. What's wrong with these people? I've not harmed anyone. So, something needs to be done about them. And a number of them are going to prison, and they deserve it. And more will.
You're referring to the attacks on Tesla showrooms, but I think...
Yeah. Firing bullets into showrooms and burning down cars is unacceptable.
Yeah.
Those people will go to prison, and the people that funded them and organized them will also go to prison. Don't worry.
But wouldn't you...
We're coming for you.
Wouldn't you... But wouldn't you acknowledge that some of the people who turned against Tesla in Europe were upset at your politics, and very few of them would have been violent in any way. They just objected to what they saw you say or do politically.
Well, it's certainly fine to object to political things, but it's not fine to resort to violence and hanging someone in effigy and death threats. That's obviously not okay. That's absurd. That is in no way justifiable at all, in any way, shape, or form. And some of the legacy media nonetheless have sought to justify it, which is unconscionable. Shame on them.
Also in the news today, in China last week, 11,130 Teslas were insured in China. So compared to this same week last year, you had 13,800. So you were down a little over 2,000. And the cumulative running number year to date this week last year was 195,000. Right now it's at 184,000, almost 185,000. So down about 10,000, down about 5% roughly. Not a huge deal. We would expect these numbers to pick up in the coming weeks. And we'll see if we can start to lapse last year's numbers. This is not all too uncommon. This happened in 2023 versus 2024 as well. For a while here, over the next, 5, 6, 7 weeks, 2023 versus 2024, you were behind, right? Like this week here, you had 300,000 cumulative total. And in 2023 and 2024, you were at 285,000, right? So here you were at 310,000 in 2023, and you were only at 297,000 in 2024. So it's not, a super big deal, but something we want to pay attention to, because if China deliveries start to pick up, then the year-over-year growth is going to start to look a lot better. Elon Musk's XAI has received a new shipment of 168 Tesla Megapacks worth $150 million or more for Colossus 2, its next AI supercomputer cluster. It'll be much more powerful than Colossus 1, which was already the biggest and most powerful supercomputer in the world with 200,000 NVIDIA GPUs. Waymo has received approval from California to expand its robotaxi operations in more areas around San Francisco and nearly all of San Jose. So again, what's good for Waymo is good for Tesla, because once you get the software right, once you're able to actually operate robotaxis everywhere without flaw, without issues, then it's really just a regulatory race. And if Waymo's able to get these approvals first, go through the hard work, Tesla should be able to get the regulatory approval pretty easily. Tesla will be hosting Memorial Day celebration events at Tesla showrooms around the US. It says, quote, experience the most American-made vehicles on the road. During the event, enjoy music, limited giveaways, and a chance to go on extended demo drives. Food will be available on site for purchase. And LG Energy has told its partners that it will start ramping up its 4680 battery cell production at its new factory in South Korea in June to July, and that volume would increase significantly from there. And the head of Tesla Australia, Thom Drew, says, quote, there's currently no blockers in Australia to release FSD supervised as we have in North America. It's something our business is working on releasing. Honda has announced that it will reduce its investments in EV cars due to declining demand and a focus on the growing demand for hybrid vehicles with new models. And today at 2 p.m., David Faber will be interviewing Elon Musk live from Giga Texas, where they will discuss Tesla's advancements in autonomous driving and robotics. So this could also be a catalyst for Tesla stock, more so in after hours. Now, in option activity today, you have 167 different trades totaling $91.63 million with a positive order value of 56%. So kind of neutral, kind of a slower day, at least so far in terms of options. Now, you have about 273,000 shares that are being covered on today. You do have a total of 81 million shares still sold short interest of about 3%, and about $28 billion in total dollar amounts sold short in Tesla. So there's a lot of short, positions still. And Tesla's sitting at that pretty critical 350 level, 349 or so. If you can get above 350, that's where I think things get pretty explosive to the upside, and a bit of a chase starts from that point. Now, ARK Invest also says that robotaxis could generate $34 trillion in enterprise value by 2030, which, would be pretty wild. Now, in your broader market news today, U.S. House Speaker Johnson says Trump will unify everyone. Wells Fargo says today, in a new note, buy U.S. stocks, avoid emerging markets. Wells Fargo advises investors to reduce emerging market stock holdings despite recent gains, citing weak long-term performance and structural risks like political instability and China's economic issues. The firm sees the U.S. and developed market equities as more stable alternatives and recommend reallocating to U.S. large and mid-cap stocks. For risk reduction, it suggests commodities or select fixed income assets. Politico reporter on X says House Republican hardliners are so far resisting President Trump's push for them to fall in line. GOP holdout Norman told me he won't drop his push for FMAP changes to Medicaid, even if Trump says to. And a Politico reporter on X says, quote, I just got off the phone with the president. He's on his way over. I think the president is going to encourage everyone this morning to get in line and to get the votes done. We need to deliver this for the American people. U.S. House Speaker Johnson on SALT says we will get the job done. If you don't know what SALT is, it stands for state and local taxes. It's basically what you can itemize on your tax report. Trump says we have a unified party. It's not a question of holdouts. Donald Trump says the economy is roaring. He says that a couple of Republicans are grandstanding. He says the alternative to not passing the tax bill is a massive tax hike. And he says we will have a very good discussion. And again, this is something I don't think a lot of people are even thinking about right now from a Wall Street perspective, is what positive could come out of deregulation and this tax bill. It was something we were thinking about in January and in February, but was always kind of overshadowed by the looming Liberation Day and tariffs and what those numbers would look like. So we really haven't even had a chance to, price in what deregulation and lower taxes could mean for economic activity. It says we're not cutting anything meaningful. He is not changing anything to Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi says China will support Pakistan in safeguarding its national sovereignty and territorial integrity. And a Punchbowl reporter on X says that Trump softens a bit on SALT, says that Democratic governors want it. Trump says that he is a fiscal hawk. And Trump today will make a 3 p.m. announcement with the Secretary of Defense. This is on the Iron Dome for the U.S., but if we get any other details that come out of this for a market's perspective, then that could move things. So be on the lookout for that. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon says geopolitical risk is our largest risk. Apparently, Trump warned House Republicans, don't F around with Medicaid. JP Morgan's CEO says the odds of a recession are at 50%. No, they're not. Okay. No, they're not. This is good, though. This is bullish for markets because JP Morgan's CEO says recession odds are at 50% and they're clearly not, then there's a lot of room for people to get more bullish on the economy and more bullish on markets. Rubio says reaching a nuclear agreement with Iran will not be easy. U.S. House Speaker Johnson says House GOP had a great meeting with Trump. Trump says, I can't imagine a Democrat not voting for the tax bill, which you're probably not going to see any Democrats vote for the tax bill. Trump says, I am not losing patience. And he says it's okay if the Senate makes some changes to the bill. And Trump, on food aid cuts in the tax bill, says prices are all coming down. And Trump says that Middle Eastern countries aren't going to China anymore. And Trump was asked whether the U.S. will impose Russia sanctions after the EU meeting, and he says, we'll see. Stephen Cohen has said that stocks could retest their April lows, sees a 45% chance of recession per CNBC today. Again, when people are this bearish, that's like screaming, buy stocks, right? That's screaming people are probably wrong on their assessments. Fed Hammock says White House tax bill complicates forecast. And she says that she doesn't want to overreact to trade. And Fed Hammock sees stagflationary outcome as a likely scenario. Again, even the Fed is like bearish right now, right? They're either concerned about growth, concerned about inflation. What if we don't see this big growth slowdown, this recession, and we also don't see the inflation? That's kind of my forecast here. In that event, where you don't see a stagflation, where you don't see growth stagnating and you don't see inflation accelerating, I mean, you would see stocks do very well. China's foreign ministry says the U.S. and China should achieve positive interaction in the Asia-Pacific region. And Japan's tariff negotiator is to visit the U.S. for the third time on Friday. So a Japan trade deal seems to be moving along. The percent of stocks trading above their 50-day moving average today sitting at 71.68%. So on the high side, more room to move higher here. But again, I've kind of been calling for a little bit of a slowdown in this market rally, and that's exactly what we're seeing. But I'm not forecasting any large decline at this point. I just don't see a reason for that unless trade tensions were to really ratchet up again. CNN's Fear and Greed Index today coming in at 70. Yesterday was at 69, pretty stable there, not moving around all too much at this point. Market momentum in extreme fear, stock price strength is greed, stock price breadth, extreme greed, put and call options greed, market volatility is neutral, safe haven demand in extreme greed, and junk bond demand in extreme greed. Now, Thursday will also be a pretty interesting day because we will get a new AI investor sentiment survey. Currently, as far as last Thursday, 35.9% of investors were bullish, 19.7% were neutral, and 44.4% were bearish. So, you still have a lot more bears than bulls. That's not what you normally see. And, again, that's another reason why I'm bullish on markets here, because people are so bearish. I don't think for logical reasons, right? The consumer is going to continue to spend as long as they have a job. And at this point, it doesn't look like people are being just massively laid off. Okay? Until we see layoffs, it's hard to be bearish on the economy when 70+% of economic activity comes from people spending all of their money. With all of that said, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts on this down below in the comments section. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.